What's up, guys? Poke with a Purpose, back with another vlog. Headed to the Wynn right now to play 25, 50, 100 with, I believe, Mariano, possibly Rampage, and the normal Wynn crew. Coming off a week of pretty intense triggers, feeling lots of things under the surface that was being triggered by stuff with my family. Hadn't played a lot of poker, and what it ended up being was I got on the cycle of work, creating content, coaching, taking care of my family, getting in grind mode of I have to do all these things, but forgetting to slow down, enjoy the moment, and really embody just presence and gratitude. So what ended up happening was I wasn't taking care of myself. I forgot myself in the mix, and little Dave wasn't feeling supported. He wasn't feeling seen. He wasn't feeling acknowledged. He wasn't having fun. And so I wasn't having fun. So cleared that out yesterday, took a day off, took a bath last night, really just took care of myself. And today we're feeling great, feeling present, grateful for the experience to go play poker, grateful for my family, my girlfriend, and just grateful to be on this journey. And what a blessing the pain was this week. So looking forward to playing a little poker right now. And the intention today is just to enjoy the game, enjoy connecting with the players, enjoy the process of connecting with myself, fully embracing whatever comes up, acknowledging it, giving myself whatever I need emotionally in the moment, and releasing what doesn't serve me so that I can play through connection, presence, and intuition. Yeah, let's see what happens today. Looking forward to it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Today, my main goal is to focus on embracing the pain. Meaning, instead of being just okay with painful outcomes and making mistakes, I'm choosing to send the message to my unconscious that I welcome it. Not because I have to, but because I'm choosing to. Let's see how that goes. In our first hand, I open ace king and get called by 3 players. Although we're going to flop a gut shot and overs here, we simply let go. Betting here would be a disaster, as we have very little fold equity on the flop, turn, or river with our stack size. And this hand demonstrates clearly what we can expect from the dynamic today. These guys came here to play. We expect them to be opening, 3-betting, 4-betting, seeing flops, peeling, stabbing, and in general, fighting to win or prove themselves in a lineup that is all aggressive professionals. And our river action here is going to confirm it. We see Mariano's going to stab the turn and another reg is going to call. And then on the river, when the flush comes in, the backdoor flush, Mariano checks. The reg is going to bet 1,600. And then Mariano's going to check raise to 8,000. And the reg calls with a flush and Mariano mucks without showing. So I don't believe that Mariano really thinks this play is going to work. This is kind of just the excess fight energy and the nervous, jittery excitement energy of I'm ready to play, I'm ready to fight, let's make something happen. Ultimately, this isn't a really aggressive play. This is just a one-street stab, but it's going to work in his favor because it's going to get him paid off because it makes him look much more loose and aggressive and capable than he actually is. So he's going to get paid off later in other spots. All right, in hand 2, we get King Jack offsuit on the button. We're going to open it up to 250, and Mariano is going to call us in the big blind. We go to a flop of Queen 10-6. Great flop for us, flop and open-ended. We see that Mariano is semi-excited and connected to the board, but never fully settles in. So we go ahead and bet 300, and he's going to call us. And then on the turn, it's a jack. And so far, so good as far as our intention. I bet the turn here big based on his energy being not fully connected to the board. In a pure vacuum without any reads, it would be a nightmare getting check raised here. But I was able to connect where I felt comfortable that he wasn't continuing, and I bet here to deny equity. In hand 3, we get our lone VIP to open to 300, and then we are going to 3-bet him in position to 1,000, and he calls pretty quickly. Going to a flop of ace, eight, deuce, rainbow. I saw that he genuinely missed. He stayed jittery, disconnected, and his energy never went up at all. This is simply a check. Even in a vacuum, this is a check. So we either got him in a really bad shape or we're crushed. Either way, we're not getting 3 streets of value. Flop check would allow him to catch up, or even better, assume we have an underpair and stab at least once, if not twice. So I get to be better at taking my time to connect the best decision to the live read and be okay with all outcomes. For example, be okay if checking there allows him to hit a 2-outer. In this next hand, we're going to 3-bet the same VIP with king queen offsuit on the button. He calls and we go to a flop of queen 10-8. Now, what I thought I saw was that he was semi-connected, jittery, and semi-excited by the board, but I didn't feel like it was like a really big spike, and I didn't feel like he settled in. So I went ahead and underbet here, the same as I did on the ace-king hand, in order to induce him to come over the top, which lo and behold, he does. What I wasn't expecting was that he's going to continue here all 3 streets, betting the turn and then betting the river. And this is just one of those hands where I wasn't fully connected with him to start the hand. I wasn't like locked into what does he look like when he's really comfortable and what does he look like when he's bluffing and not comfortable. So this is one of those hands where I felt disconnected from him the entire time. And ultimately I ended up trusting my process on the river and folding based purely on the questions and answers that I use in my process. He wasn't trying to sell me on being strong on the river. He was able to completely settle down. And ultimately I felt that he was asking for a call. And I could be dead wrong here, and that's okay. Ultimately, I get to trust my process and live with the results, and that's what I did here. So I fold. All right, let's put our stack at risk here. What do you say? So in this next hand, we get pocket jacks. We are going to raise to 400 in middle-ish position. And again, with this dynamic, we expect a lot of loose callers. And then with the aggressive regs behind, the potential for being squeezed is very high. So this is exactly what we expect. And this is just a dream for us with pocket jacks on a shorter stack. With my stack size, which is about 6,000-7,000 or something like that, if I sense any weakness here, jamming is the only play. I win 33% of my stack without even seeing a card, and I'll take that all day long. The reg who squeezed is somebody that I've played with a lot. I feel very comfortable with his behavior in terms of sensing his energy and his jitteriness. And I just felt here that he was not excited and he didn't really have anything big. So again, we jam and he's going to take some time to just see what the price is. We count out all our chips and everything, but ultimately he wasn't that excited about his hand. And this isn't a spot where he's willing to gamble for 3 outs, even though it's only $40, $200 more. So he's going to let this go, and we are going to win without a contest. All right, next hand we have a PLO double board bomb pot. We do these every half hour on the dealer change. It's $100 ante per player. And then the cap post flop is $3,000 just to keep the action moving. We don't want to spend the whole half hour tanking in a bomb pot where somebody's potting for $30,000. So as you can see, we flop middle set on the bottom board, and on the top board, we just have bottom pair and obviously a pair of jacks. I like checking this flop. We are at very big risk of being scooped here if somebody has top set or straight on the bottom, and then on the top board, somebody could just have a queen. So we're not really happy with our hand. So we check call on the flop versus Mariano. And then on the turn, we're really happy now. Our hand is just too strong to fold. We turn trips on the top board, and the 8 on the bottom board is a blank. So we still got middle set. But at this point versus Mariano's stabbing range, we're very happy with our hand. So we go ahead and check the turn. He's going to jam and we call. And lo and behold, we have him in very rough shape. He has a gut shot on the top, a gut shot on the bottom with top pair. And it would have been really fun to scoop here, but such is life in PLO land. We're going to chop. He rivers a straight on the bottom board and we hold on the top board. All right, next hand, we get a pretty hand on the button, king, queen of diamonds. And we get a open from a reg, a 3-bet from another reg. We're going to flat the 3-bet, and then we're going to get another reg that is going to jam for 12,000 in the straddle. And so this hand is simply a fold for me pre-flop. My cold call is going to encourage someone to squeeze here because of the extra dead money that I'm putting in. I actually like a call here with like a really big hand as a trap because I'm on the button anyway. And even if the original opener or whoever else flats, I have position and the best hand in case somebody doesn't squeeze. But I ended up choosing not to fold here because I wanted to have, quote, an easy time of playing a pretty suited hand in position. And ultimately, I completely avoided connecting to any of the players once I got attached to my desire to play that hand pre-flop. All right, I hope y'all are ready to play a big pot because we're about to do it right now. We get ace queen in early middle position. A reg opens, we flat, we get a raise 3-bet to 900 next to act. And then Mariano is going to 4-bet to 2600 in the straddle. So this is one of those, I'm going to cold 4-bet you and call off because I'm priced in and because this game is too small for me, plays from Mariano. I totally get where he's coming from. And I actually like his 4-bet, though I'd probably go a bit smaller to be able to fold to a jam. So I flatted here the original raise because I thought there was a very high probability of a 3-bet, if not a 4-bet. In a game where people are fighting for pots heavily pre with the extra juiced up dynamic of Mariano being there. With my stack size, once I connect to Mariano, this is an easy jam with all the dead money in there and knowing I very often have him dominated. Now, the result did sting me and it opened up a trigger, and I'll talk about that here on the break. Okay, mini break here, and this is what came up for me after that ace-queen hand. Feeling disappointment and thoughts of wanting to make it back. What pain am I avoiding? Losing and feeling like a loser. So I wanted to fully embrace the present moment, embracing that all is well and all is working out for me, that it's a blessing to feel so much and embrace it all. However, I didn't allow myself to feel and process the disappointment of doing the right thing and it's still not good enough. So reflect on your own play. Think about how many times you've made the correct fold, the correct jam, the correct play that doesn't work out, and then underneath it feels like, oh, I hate how that worked out. That sucked. That's a bad beat. That's run bad. That's a cooler. All these interpretations of it's painful and I don't want it to feel that way. And this is a really important piece because nobody's talking about this, and making the correct fold, even if it doesn't work out, should feel amazing. It should feel like winning a 300 big blind pot because ultimately that's what we're here to do, is make the correct play. When there's pain underneath it and we avoid that pain, what we do is we create suffering. So pain happens and suffering is optional. If we embrace the pain as a blessing, then we stay in alignment. If we resist the pain, we create suffering, and that's how it builds into something bigger and we go off the rails later. So let's see how this comes into play for me. All right, so after we reload, we are going to get ace queen again. We're going to 3-bet here to 1100 in the hijack, and then we're going to get 3-bet to 3000 from a regular. Now, what I saw was that he was excited, mostly settled, and pretty connected energetically to his hand. He wasn't begging me to fold or anything like that. He didn't want me to believe he's strong. He was just pretty content with where he was. So in this game, with people being far more capable pre-flop, I'm making this fold, or I'm 5-bet jamming purely based on my connection to the player. And it's nice when he shows ace king here to see my connection confirmed. And the lesson for me, though, is to learn to create or choose similar satisfaction in making a good fold here as it would be in jamming or winning the pot. All right, this next hand is just a complete disaster as far as I'm concerned. We end up seeing a flop 3 ways with king jack offsuit. And what ended up happening here was I ended up taking the easy route because squeezing or 3-betting didn't seem like a great option pre-flop, because then I'm going to get called by 2 people in a bloated pot where I don't really have a stack to be making them fold post-flop. The other option would be folding, and part of me really wanted to play here. So I got stuck, or I chose to get stuck with the worst option, which is call to see a flop to smash and take the easy route. So what ended up happening here is both Mariano and the other reg flopped sets, set of 3s and a set of 4s, and I end up stacking off with king jack because now at this point my hand looks too good. on a dry board, yada, 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 story, story, story. So this disaster might seem sudden, but as you saw, my mental state was building up over time. Unacknowledged upset and built up self-righteous rage over the ego voice telling me I'm supposed to win that one when the ace queen hand and scoop the other one, the PLO hand, and win the next one. Instead, I keep getting unlucky. Fuck. Well, I'm playing well. I just need to get lucky like the rest of them. So I didn't allow myself to fully acknowledge, let alone bring full awareness to the voices going on within and process them and let that voice out and let it breathe. So there's nothing wrong with feeling that pain. In fact, that was my goal coming in. But when the pain started building, I went back to my old habit of avoiding the pain at all costs. I just want something at the poker table to happen that's good to make me feel better. That way I don't have to go and feel the pain that I'm feeling within. So instead, by resisting what I was feeling, I ended up creating my own suffering, stacking off here versus 2 sets. So this punt was coming from a mile away, and let's see if I learned from it going forward. All right, last hand of the session, and it's about to be another big one, so buckle your seatbelts. I go to my box after punting off 15,000 in the king jack hand, come back, sit down, and very first hand, we get dealt pocket queens. So obviously we open at 300, we get called by one of the blinds. And then as I'm still settling in, I look up and I see $2,000 in the middle of the felt from Mariano. I didn't see him raise. I didn't see him 3-bet. I wasn't connected to him. At this point, there was just no process, no settling in. It's just me operating through pure pain, rage, and ego. Yep. So when I decide to stay in my resistance, this is exactly what happens. This is how I learn every session and every moment from my life as well as poker. Although here, I got extremely fortunate. I came back and sat down, basically shell-shocked. Pulled out my last 15K from my box. I didn't clear anything out. And when I sat back down to play, I was going to have to get very lucky to win. And that's what happened. So my connection was gone. My ego was seeing what it wanted to see. My ego mind was seeing the opposite on every single street. Mariano turned the stone nuts with ace 10 on this turn when I actually saw him as weak and deflated. He just check called, and when the river pairs the board and I boated up, not only did I not snap call him, I actually tanked before calling him. And although it looks like it, this wasn't a nit roll. This is just super monkey tilt, and I'm probably going to lose the last of the money that's in my box. I know you guys have all been there where it's like I have to call here, but I am so terrified of just losing this last money that's in front of me. And after playing the king jack hand where I punt off into 2 people who are at the top of their range, the thought pattern in my mind is saying, dude, how can I even trust myself now if I'm punting into 2 people who have the best hands they could possibly have? How could I even trust myself? So that's what's going through my mind. Ultimately, I got very lucky to boat up here on the river, and I got very lucky at the way the hand played out for him to also have a hand. But this just shows that operating through pain and ego and not acknowledging whatever we're feeling internally, it just doesn't work. This is just pure luck. There's no skill involved in this hand whatsoever. And the path going forward and the habit that I get to build is to check in with what I'm feeling internally and to actually go there, to actually embrace what I'm feeling, to hear out whatever wants to be heard, to feel what needs to be felt, and to acknowledge it and let it go. And then by doing that, we create clarity and freedom. What we resist persists. And when we acknowledge what we're feeling and we let go, that's how we create freedom and clarity. All right, so coming in, the goal was to embrace pain. And what that means is to acknowledge it immediately when the pain comes up and step into it. Resolve the frustrating voice by actually hearing it out and acknowledging what is being asked for. I felt the deep disappointment, and instead of acknowledging what was bringing up for me, feeling unsafe, feeling like I was failing, feeling not good enough, if that sounds like a little kid talking, that's exactly who it is. I wasn't acknowledging what was coming up from within, and by resisting it, I created what I was avoiding, suffering. It's no different than for those of you who are parents out there, when you keep ignoring your child until he acts out in a way where you literally can't ignore him anymore. That was my experience at the table today, and not just today. This is a pattern that I'm working on changing right now. So the lesson for me is if I choose to ignore the pain, then the pain will make sure that I suffer. If I choose to embrace what I feel, then the pain will make sure that I create freedom and clarity. All right, so coming in, the goal was to embrace pain. And what that means is to acknowledge it immediately when the pain comes up and step into it. Resolve the frustrating voice by actually hearing it out and acknowledging what is being asked for. I felt the deep disappointment, and instead of acknowledging what was bringing up for me, feeling unsafe, feeling like I was failing, feeling not good enough, if that sounds like a little kid talking, that's exactly who it is. I wasn't acknowledging what was coming up from within, and by resisting it, I created what I was avoiding, suffering. It's no different than for those of you who are parents out there, when you keep ignoring your child until he acts out in a way where you literally can't ignore him anymore. That was my experience at the table today, and not just today. This is a pattern that I'm working on changing right now. So the lesson for me is if I choose to ignore the pain, then the pain It gives me permission to feel anything without the need to suppress it or act it out at the table. If any of this sounds illogical, if it doesn't make sense to you, that's because it's not logical. This is completely emotional. Do you relate to any of this? How do you feel deep down when your session goes off the rails? What voice do you hear in your head during the session? And after the session? Does it feel like you're not in control? And no matter how much poker studying you do, it doesn't address or resolve this pattern. I know this is an unspoken topic in poker, and I'm here to change all that. So I want to hear from you. Please post in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.